Good morning. This is the Wetlands Centre Oral History Project. This is an interview with Marie Taylor for the City of Cockburn and the Cockburn Wetlands Centre, being recorded on the 15th of August 2024. My name's Nandi Chinna, and I'd like to thank you, Marie, for agreeing to be interviewed today. Before we commence the interview, can you confirm that you have read the informed consent and agreed to the interview conditions?
Yes, I have.
Marie Taylor is a Whadjuk Nyungar Elder of the Beeliar area. She is an important knowledge holder and is Elder in Residence at the Wetlands Centre. So Marie, can we begin with you giving your full name, date of birth and where you were born?
Okay. My name is Marie Jean Taylor. My surname is Collard. I was born in Beverley on the 5th of May 1948.
Thank you, Marie. So, can you tell us a little bit about your connection with the area where the Wetlands Centre is, the Beeliar Wetlands?
My connection in the previously to my connecting with Wetlands Centre was really only down at Bibra Lake. My family would go there, we'd go and visit, and usually have something to eat at the caravan, and just go for a walk around, and or the kids would go and play on the playground. And then at the time I was working at Coolbardie Centre at Murdoch University, and I got a request to do a welcome to country over at the Wetlands Centre, and it was my first connection with the centre. I had no idea that it was even there.
Right. And what year was that?
Oh my goodness, that's gone back many years ago. And on the day that I went there, I had a bottle of water, and I'd left it on the table outside to go to the toilet. And when I came outside, my water bottle was gone. And I thought, that's odd. Where's my water bottle gone? Anyway, I walked around there for a little while, and I actually found it under a bush. And I know that area is has a spirituality to it that connected me to that area. And so that was my first connection with the wetlands many years ago. And then it wasn't until I retired that I sort of went back and got involved a bit with it again, and that was at the past chairperson's request, Tom. And as a result of it, I was invited to become the Elder in Residence at the centre. But when I think back around that particular area, it's always been known to me as Bibra Lake. And it wasn't until I started getting involved with the Wetlands Centre and doing research about the centre and things like that, that I realised that, hey, this is not called Bibra Lake or wetlands. This is the Whadjuk land. And Whadjuk is the place of the little kangaroo rat. and whenever we go there, we often see them. And as a result of starting to use the Aboriginal name, things started to grow from an Aboriginal perspective there, and we became busy, and the little organisation that I'm involved in, Nyungar Association, was always contacted if they wanted anything done from an Aboriginal perspective, and I would always, if I didn't do it myself, I would always allocate it to somebody to go and do the work. One of the things that I found sort of sad about the area was that you had the hospital there, the scouts, the wetlands itself, and from my perspective, they didn't even seem to be interacting with each other. And I thought, goodness me, you know, what's going on here? And they, from my point of view, they still don't interact with each other. It after I sort of stopped doing work and going and doing things for the Wetlands Centre, I only now go there if another organisation wants a welcome to country or a smoking ceremony. But the traditional story of that area, it is really interesting because opposite the wetlands in that land there, you go for a walk through that land and you go down to Lake Coolbellup. Now, that is a traditional sacred men's site, and women should not be going anywhere near that place. And I found that people who have gone through there have come back with stories that are really worrying. And then you've got Beeliar Lake there. Now, Lake Coolbellup was named after the quelly, the she-oak tree, the she-oak tree, because there's she-oak trees growing all around there. And Beeliar Lake was always Whadjuk. And we're still starting to use Whadjuk whenever we go there. You know, oh, let's go to Whadjuk for a ride. A lot of people don't know the stories of the area, and I mean, I'm really still learning about the stories of the area, because years ago my father, Fred Collard, and oh gosh, I've forgotten his name. Anyway, they took me there and they asked me to be responsible for that area. And I mean, at the time I just sort of said, oh yeah, okay, and not thought no more about it. And then they both passed away, and then I got involved there doing stuff at the Wetlands Centre that told me that, hey, our story is still here. And when we look at the land that's there, and I call it the mini forest, it still has the traditional feel about it. It still has the little animals and the birds, and the only thing you don't see there is a kangaroo or an emu. But everything else is there running around and slithering around. And it's those things that we need to be thinking about, and making sure that we keep looking after those things, because if we allowed them to die off, what would our use be as people walking that land? Now, some of the things that struck me when I first went there was all the grass trees and how they grew through that area there. And my old grandfather, he would have said, look at all the balai, alaja, he called them curry. He had a name for them that was different to the balga that we use, and I still often think that I hear him calling out that name whenever I go for a walk there. But when he used to go for a walk through the bush there, the first thing he would do was go up to the water. He would wipe his hand across his forehead or under his arm and get the smell of him on his hand, pick up a handful of sand and then throw it into the water and introduce himself to the Whadjuk, the rainbow serpent. And he did that in many places that I went to, and saw him doing it. And one day I asked him, why are you doing that, Pop? And he said, I'm introducing myself to the rainbow serpent so that when I come back here, he will know who I am. And that's why I always encourage people to, when they go anywhere near the Aboriginal lakes and the lakes on Aboriginal land, to follow that little system. When we started looking at the wetlands to do stuff, initially I sat on the committee, and then I was asked to be the elder in residence, and so I went off the committee, but I was still allowed to go to the committee meetings, and I found them sort of not sure whether they were going down the right track or whether it was just a committee that did things just to shut people up. And so when things started to happen there that was a bit detrimental to what I wanted to do, I sort of moved off the committee and away from the centre. But in the olden days, the Nyungar people would have, they may have camped up in that bush area because there's the lake there. They wouldn't camp right where the lake was, because that's where the animals would have gone to get their drink. So they camped back in the bush further, and they would always walk down to the lake and get their water, etc., whatever they needed. And I could imagine seeing little mire built in that area there, and little tracks being made by the kids because they had to go and collect the wood for the fire. In some of the areas there, and that area would have been an area where Yagan, he would have walked around and hunted and gathered, and because that particular side of Perth is the land of Midgiguru, and Yagan was his son. But Yagan was able to go all over the place because his uncle and grandfathers were all the elders for the land where he would have walked. It in many ways, the sad thing that I find is a lot of our story has been lost because of the language barrier. And I find that had the language been overcome, it would have we would have been able to write down a lot more of the story that the Aboriginal people, the Nyungar people, would have told. And in the olden days too, the Nyungar people, we need to remember they only ever had 1 or 2 children because they had no prams and carriers like they got today. They had to make their baby carrying things from the kangaroo skins, and we still make them today in order to show people what we're talking about. But with the I think with the area around there, and I've gone walking around that area, not only with people but with my daughter and the kids, and you can actually sense the spirituality of the place where it is. And I think that hasn't been highly addressed. It's sort of been pushed to one side, and I perhaps would like to see the spirituality of Whadjuk addressed and put on the front row of Nyungar history for that area. And you know, we talk about the Beeliar land, and the Beeliar land is the land of the water. And it doesn't only represent the lakes around Cockburn area, but also all the lakes and that right through down to Pinjarra. And we talk about the Beeliar. When we talk about the river, it is the Beeliar, the river. And the stories that are attached to different parts of those little rivers and ponds are really interesting. And today I've noticed that people are starting to be confident in coming out and sharing the stories, especially the old people. There are some people who I used to help in housing in Coolbellup, and it was always just, you know, a visit. But when I got involved with Wetlands, I would encourage them to become part of the group whenever we did anything there from an Aboriginal perspective. And I think that that's what needs to be addressed more, is the place needs to be opened up for Aboriginal people to visit and to attend, or just go there and sit down or go for a walk through the bush. I would actually like to see the area become a place of tourism, because we've got the hospital there, the scouts, the wetlands, and in amongst it all you've got the Aboriginal perspective. And not many places are lucky to have that. So yeah, I think that what Cockburn has done over at that centre they probably should have addressed the Aboriginal perspective a lot sooner. I mean, it was when I got involved, when I went and did that Welcome to Country, the place had been open for 20 years. I had no idea. So it was a really big eye-opener for me. And I think that, you know, for the council to have had a place like that and not really encourage the Aboriginal perspective, that's really disappointing. But that's changing, and you know, I've got to say that Cockburn's one of the positive councils that I've worked with, and I'm glad that they are supporting the Wetlands Centre. And so I think that when we look at Whadjuk on Beeliar land, it's not only the story of the Aboriginal people now, it's a story of all people. And we need to ensure that we don't forget about that.
So when you say you do educational programs there, what sort of things would you teach the kids or do with the kids?
Well, we have a little program called the Buoy program, and buoy means not the turtle.
Turtle?
Yeah.
The turtle.
And we offer art, storytelling, bush medicine, bush tucker, music and dance, and a tour if it's wanted. And look, you know, there has been some positive feedback, and there has also been some negative feedback, and I look at it this way, that if there is negative feedback, it needs to be shown to us, not hidden away. And the positive feedback, you know, it's people can say it, but sometimes you need to see it also in writing. And so I'm glad to be elder in residence, but it's probably something that I won't do for much longer.
Well, you've already said about the importance of this Wetlands Centre to you, but is there anything else you'd like to say about Whadjuk or the Wetlands Centre?
There has been a big change of staff, and I've got to say that I really enjoy going there and seeing the place busy and different programs happening, you know, not just Aboriginal programs and school programs. I think
So you were saying about Aboriginal spirituality being put front and centre. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the area or the centre?
I think probably the centre is now proving to be a bit small. It probably could be, you know, opened up a bit bigger, with more rooms, but that's something that, you know, the committee there will need to talk about and think about, because sometimes, you know, you've got people wanting to use the centre, and there's a dance group happening.
Yeah.
And I think that it's great that dance group is there, you know, and but I also think that there are other things that are more practical to the area that could be used at the centre. I think I would like to see it become more of a community centre, so that people can go there and sit and talk, and I would like to see a cafe there. I think that if there was an official cafe there, that would probably bring in a lot more people. Yeah.
And you could just have it as a place for yarning.
Yes.
Just getting together.
Yeah. I think where they've got the fire pit down the bottom, I think it's too far away.
Right.
For me, it's you're walking down. If you get a group of people there and some people are in wheelchairs, you've got no safety rules in place for the wheelchairs. And I mean, even me walking with my stick down, you know, I've got to hang on to
somebody.
The things when we walk down, you know. So really, even though they have
steps and they've got
sort of upgraded that area, they really haven't listened to what they were told. The fire pit down there needs to be built up and made more safer. You know, if they want people to use that, they need to have a wood heap down there like there used to be. Now, there's nothing.
No wood.
They do things down there in the evening, but I think that it needs to be built up in such a way that everybody knows about it. I would like to see a brochure, you know, go out to the community, not just be emailed out. It needs to be pinned up on walls and things like that. And you very rarely ever see that happening now. And like I went in there one day and they've got this lovely big brochure about butterflies. Who's going to walk in through the front door to go into the toilet where the staff are sitting? That's not telling me that information is being processed. So, you know, I think the how to overcome that would be is to get that person sitting in the at the front.
Yeah, in that big room.
Yeah.
So they can welcome people.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
you don't see anybody when you come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas
at the hospital, at the animal hospital, there's someone there.
Yes.
You can walk in.
Yeah. And I think that the hospital could link in with wetlands more, but they, from what I see, they don't.
Maybe one way forward would be to have an Aboriginal staff member at the Wetlands Centre, an Aboriginal liaison officer or planner.
That has been talked about and talked about and talked about and promised and agreed to, but we're still waiting for that to happen.
Because then if there was a staff member there, that everything would be, they would be able to have their eye on all the planning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you want a specific group of people to be attracted to your centre, you have got to employ someone from that group.
Exactly.
And even though we've been promised that we were going to employ someone, I'm still waiting for it to happen.
It's a job for someone too. You know, it's giving back.
Yeah.
It's actually providing a living for a Nyungar person to contribute instead of just having people come in and do programs.
And the other thing was the building of the plant.
The nursery.
Nursery.
Plant nursery, yeah.
That was the biggest, as far as I'm concerned, waste of money that I have ever seen.
Oh.
The Wetlands is not a nursery, and that place is not a nursery. It's I don't know why it was built, and I can't understand why it's been allowed to have been built.
Isn't it for their revegetation programs around the lakes? That's what I thought, but that's just I don't know, but that's what I thought.
I have no idea. From what I see, they've got plants and that there which people can buy, but I don't think that having a nursery attached to a wetland centre is the answer to vegetating the centre. To me, there are enough places around that sell plants that can be purchased to plant and regrow, but I've got to say I haven't seen much growth happening there.
Right.
Even though the new plants are starting to, flower and that there, to me, it's like it's somebody's special program.
Right.
When it shouldn't be. The centre should be allowed to regrow its own plants.
Right. Yeah. So you think you won't be there for long? You're going to retire from there?
Yeah.
And will your family continue connection, or will you be putting your energy
They
somewhere?
can, if the Wetlands wants anything done from an Aboriginal perspective, they can still get in touch with me, and I can organise it all, and arrange for the different people to go and do the different work. The other thing too is that the Wetlands need to remember is that the fee for service needs to be considered. And that was one of the issues that came up. So hopefully it'll sort itself out.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you.
It's been a great pleasure to hear your perspective.